Welcome back to Shae's Pep Talk Rally Show, where we explore trauma, trials, testimonies, triggers, and everything in between. This is a real space for real conversations about life's challenges, where we intentionally seek new perspectives and better balance. They say hurt people, and I believe healed people should help people. So together, let's do just that. Help, heal, and uplift one another. Let's rally. Today's episode is all about something I believe is a game changer for personal well-being: setting boundaries. Now, this is a topic I know that we hear a lot about, but many of us struggle with this in real life, right? The truth is, boundaries are essential for maintaining our mental, emotional, and even our physical health. So it's not about shutting people out. It's about creating the space that you need to thrive, both in your personal and your professional life. So I've had to learn this the hard way myself, if I'm being very transparent. Now, there was a time when I felt overwhelmed. Why? Because I was always saying yes, trying to be there for everyone and everything, until I found myself completely drained. But once I learned the importance of setting boundaries, my entire life changed for the better. And that's what we're going to explore today. All right. So listen, you may be asking yourself, what exactly are boundaries and why are they so important? Everybody's talking about these boundaries. Well, boundaries are the lines that we draw to protect our peace, time, and energy. And I don't know about y'all, but listen, the older I'm getting, I'm realizing peace, time, and energy are those things that you cannot get back. So when I share them, when I reach out, and when I embrace and lean in on these things, I am very intentional about what I spend my time and my energy on. And if it interrupts my peace, I'm not doing it. I'm not participating in it. Okay. So, boundaries help us to define what we're comfortable with and what we're not. And without them, it's easy to feel like you're overwhelmed and drained and sometimes even resentful, right? That's being completely transparent here. I've been there. I've done the things. I've tried to show up for everybody else. I've said yes to everybody else but me. And it came a time where that was just, it wasn't cutting it anymore. So let's break this down. There are healthy boundaries and there are unhealthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries allow you to take control of your life by saying yes when it aligns with your values and no when it doesn't. And I'm trying to really keep this as simple as possible because we overcomplicate this a lot. People talk about boundaries, and depending on who you're talking to, they may try to, manipulate you or make you believe that it's something that, it's not, or whatever it is that's beneficial to them. But really, it's simple. Unhealthy boundaries either have us shutting people out entirely or saying yes to everything. And even when it's at the cost of our own well-being. And that's the problem. That's what makes it unhealthy. Now, if you're like me, there was a time when, full transparency, I didn't even know I needed boundaries. I was always that yes person, taking on more tasks at work, being there for everyone in my personal life, leaving no time or energy for myself. And the result of this, burnout and complete exhaustion. But when I learned to set boundaries, everything changed. I was able to focus on what really mattered, and the quality of my relationships actually improved because I wasn't running on empty anymore, giving my loved ones the leftover parts of me. And that's why I'm sharing this with you today. How do you know when it's time to set boundaries? If you're feeling exhausted, drained, or you're constantly saying yes to things that don't serve you, these are the clear signs that you need to do something different. You need to establish some boundaries. And you might notice that you feel resentful after you agree to do something or help somebody out. You'll say yes and you'll mean it, but then you'll find yourself being like, oh, I really wish I wouldn't have said yes to this because ... When you start feeling and thinking that a lot more, that's when you really need to take a step back, establish those boundaries. And maybe you're the one at work who's always picking up those extra tasks. And, even though it's stretching you too thin, you just can't say no. And these are red flags that you're in need of being able to create those boundaries that's going to help you to be a better person, show up better for yourself, show up better for others, and show up better in the world. All right. So how do you start setting boundaries? Now, I'm going to be very honest with you again. Doing this, it can be very uncomfortable at first. I believe in being truthful with people because sometimes it sounds good and it sounds like something you should be able to do until you can't or you don't or you're not used to it. But it takes 21 days to form a habit. But I promise you, it's one of the most empowering things that you can do for yourself. And let me share these 3 practical tips with how you can do that, okay? 1, identify your limits. Okay, the first step is knowing where your limits lie, not where hers and his and theirs is. Where does your limits lie? Reflect on those areas of your life where you feel overwhelmed. Is it work, your relationships, social commitments? I want you to pay attention to these things that drain your energy and recognize that these are the places where those boundaries are needed to be set. 2, communicate clearly. Now that you know where you need the boundaries, the next step is communicating them. I know this is scary for some people. It was scary for me. Like, wait, I have to actually have a conversation about this. I need to tell somebody that I no longer want to participate. I no longer want to do this. Yes, this doesn't have to be confrontational and it doesn't need to be dramatic. It's simply about expressing your needs in a respectful way, but it could sound something like, I'm not able to take on any more projects this week. Or I need some quiet time in the evening to recharge. But the key here is being clear and firm without feeling the need to over explain or apologize. And again, I've been that person. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to do it. But what are you really apologizing for? Right? Learn how to let your yeses be yeses and your nos be nos. 3, stick to your boundaries. Setting boundaries is only one part, but sticking to them is where the real work comes in. You might feel guilty at first, yes, especially if other people are used to you always saying yes. They may say, why? Well, you've always done this. Okay, but it's your right to be able to change your mind and reestablish what those boundaries should look like and what you will and won't be able to commit to do. That's okay. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. So the people who truly care about you and truly love you, they're going to respect your boundaries. And over time, you'll find that relationships are healthier because of it. All right. Again, not something easy to do. It does take time and it takes you to be very intentional with what you're doing. All right. But it can be done and it should be done. I want to leave you with the challenge this week. I want you to think about one area in your life where you need stronger boundaries. And it could be at work, in your relationships, or even with yourself. And yes, I said even with yourself, because we think that we don't need to set boundaries for ourselves, but it actually starts within us. Okay. But practice setting those boundaries. And I want you to see and really focus on how it feels to take control of your energy and your time. It's going to be life-changing for you. Setting those boundaries is one of the most loving things that you can and should do for yourself. And it allows you to give your best to the things and people that really matter without feeling like you're stretched too thin, without feeling like your loved ones are getting the leftover parts of you. The best feeling in the world to be able to show up the way that you truly want to show up for the people that you want to show up for. So remember, boundaries don't mean that you're being selfish. It means that you're actually taking care of yourself so that you can be your best authentic self for you and then for other people. I want to share this. I saw a post on social media one day and it said, no is a complete sentence. That was the post. This blessed me because it is so true. Seeing that post actually helped me to stop over explaining, overthinking, and stop feeling guilty when I had to or when I felt like I needed to say no. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. It's simple and it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. As we wrap up today's episode, I just want to remind you that boundaries are not pushing people away. It's more about protecting your peace on purpose and allowing you to show up as your best authentic self. Every time you set a boundary, you're teaching other people how to treat you and you're showing yourself that your needs matter also. So take that time this week to reflect on where you need to create that space for yourself. And I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Shae's Pep Talk Rally Show. If you enjoyed today's episode, please, please, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review. I can't wait to continue to dive into more topics to help you to thrive and grow. Until next time, protect your peace and set those boundaries. Don't stop, don't settle, keep stepping.